test of endurance, strength, agility and most importantly speed, this is the Red Bull Capetown man. Kitesurfing's the first discipline, a fast course from Blauberg around Robben Island to Sunset Beach. Oisin Ryan is Ireland's top kitesurfer and he's lead man for the Irish team. They hand over to the mountain bikers, a hardy 30-kilometre awaits, almost all uphill, reaching a height of 500 metres. That's Robin Seymour's task for Ireland. From there, the mountain cyclists meet the mountain runners. They'll have a great view from Table Mountain of Capetown, but no time for that. It's Kerry legend John Lenihan flying the flag in this one. It all ends with the paragliders, swooping first from Table Mountain to Signal Hill, then to the finish line at Camps Bay Beach. One mission for John McNamee: get home first. Time for a proper introduction as these four men prepare to take on the world.
Some of the top kiteboarders in the world, Adam Cock and the likes of that, would be international #1 kiteboarders. You know, they're as good as it gets.
It's very novel for me because I'm always with cyclists or purely mountain bikers, and so it's very novel for me to see somebody. Well, we have a very experienced mountain runner on our team, John Lenihan, and it's very interesting to be with him and see him, how he works.
It's totally different for me. I've never competed in a relay event before. Coming out here, I've just met these lads for the first time, and they're a great bunch of lads. And in the space of 2 days, we've got to be great friends with each other, and there's a bonding there already, and there's a team spirit there.
But I'm sure we'll all be standing there getting a bit nervous, wondering how our other three teammates are getting on in their progress, and there'll be some nervous looks at our fellow competitors. However, by the time it gets to us, I imagine it'll be fairly well spread out, which is probably the best reason for safety. If we get 10 or 20 guys trying to take off together, that's a recipe for disaster perhaps, and should avoid accidents.
One of the most beautiful and unique landscapes in the world, and it's Capetown's sprawling Cape Peninsula National Park.
First impressions of Capetown, sunny spot and very windy spot.
You have the combination of the beach and the mountain, they're both here, you know.
The scenery is magic, to see top Table Mountain as it is, particularly today when we had the so-called tablecloth, when the wind came over the back and the clouds came out, they looked fantastic.
Major logistics go into arranging an event like this, with Ireland's Green Bulls one of 70 teams battling for this special world title. And not one drop of energy is being unduly wasted either. For 1 week, the 280 competitors and 70 team chiefs are the centre of attention in South Africa. Red Bull's previous multi-sport event proved a storming hit, so the pressure's on everyone to make sure this one's even more spectacular. But there's still time to relax and take in the sights. Including the notorious Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela would be imprisoned for 27 years before being released to lead his nation, and Simonstown, home of the largest penguin colony outside of either pole. Capetown's extensive cable cars give the Irish team a chance to survey the route for all 4 legs of the competition. Much effort will be expended before they or their competitors see home again.
I'm training a little bit at the moment for cyclocross, and that involves a bit of running with the bike anyway. So I should be able to cope with all the conditions.
You get born with a certain urge to just challenge yourself and see where you can take your body, see where you can take your mind.
Well, really, it's a team race, and that's so important. And sure, I'm here to do my part in that team.
Coming from a very individual sport to have some teammates to rely on and to actually motivate you to go a little harder, it's exciting for me.
The Americans like to think that they're always the best, but I think it's a really tough competition here, and typically I think competitions like this are more favored towards the European teams.
Capetown man is basically bringing all these different athletes together.
First off, kitesurfing. This new and exciting sport requires good upper body strength and an excellent sense of balance.
The course that we're heading on is it's very tough. It's quite a distance out, very strong wind, very gusty wind on the downwind side of the island. So it's full-on hardcore course.
The surfers will need a strategy to negotiate the constantly changing wind and wave conditions to reach Sunset Beach first.
Get upwind, stay upwind, and leave the speed till the last section where it's downwind. You can go as fast as you like and hopefully overtake everybody. We had 35 to 40 knots of wind today, so good and windy. Should have a lot of wind on the day.
A beautiful sunrise to greet race day. Early murkiness will soon clear to be replaced by blue skies ahead of the race of a lifetime. But it's here where the tension builds up. Weather-wise, it's calm. Too calm.
Okay. Well, 9 o'clock is a bit late. For the wind conditions, I don't need to tell you anything. You know what it is.
The lack of wind means the kite surfing can't take place, and this now ultra triathlon will kick off with mountain biking.
Sorry, doesn't happen.
Ready to go now. When you're sprinting like and fighting for your position, you're going to get sand in your shoes. The big thing is just so you don't get sand on the bike. It's going to be a bit of a scrum at the start, but we just have to deal with that. It won't be any different than any other race really. We were going to be in time trial formation, but now we're going to be all together. It's good because it means for the first half of the race they should stay together and should be in big groups, particularly along the flat section, so it means we'll probably be all together by the time we get to Capetown.
The first 10 kilometres of the cycling course are level and benign, and 5 men, Australian Sid Taberley, Austrian Peter Pressler, Tyrolean Roland Stauder, American Adam Craig and Germany's European mountain bike champion Lado Fumic all managed to avoid the level crossing carnage. Can Robin Seymour keep in touch for Ireland?
Really at the start, the only thing that's going through my head is making sure I stay with the leaders, stay with the first group, because it moved so quickly through Capetown that I couldn't afford to be not with it. I would have lost quite a bit of time before I actually got there, and it's worth making the extra effort to stay in there. So it meant it was riding flat out for some of it, but it was easier then once I was in the group. To be honest, the marshals did a fantastic job. I mean, it was just seamless from one corner to the next, and it would have been complicated even if there hadn't been, even if the roads had been closed, it would have been complicated anyway. So I think they did a wonderful job, and yeah, I never really noticed. I mean, I just kept my head down and was in the group, and we did it all at 25 miles an hour, so it was great.
The course takes them through the Fort of Good Hope, the oldest building in South Africa. Easy so far? Not for long.
Once the climb started, the group went away from me, and I was happy enough doing my own thing, riding at my own pace, and started to pick up some places then once it went off-road properly, and started to move back through the guys. And it was very, very hard, some of the sections. The run-up was pretty hot, and there was a very steep climb just before it, and it was too, because it was just so slow.
Sightseeing over, now it's a struggle. 3 times Australian mountain bike champion Sid Taberley leads, but Adam Craig and Peter Pressler are finding it tougher going.
The guys at the very front are at the very front in the World Cups and the international events, so you know, I probably wouldn't expect to be able to beat them. So it's great to actually be in a race with them, and maybe without the pressure of the World Cup and the volume of people of a World Cup, and be able to race against these guys. So it's a good experience.
It's Sid Taboulet who leads for Australia at the end of stage 1 and tags teammate Ben Dubois into the mountain run. German hopes take a tumble, off goes Fumich, but the bikes are about to get ditched anyway.
I had heard the report earlier on that Robin was in about 14th position, and I was counting them as they come in. And the next I counted 5, 6, and then Robin came in 7th place. Like, it was I just had to jump off the line really quickly to get, because I could see Robin coming in and just looking around, where was I, So I was quite surprised when Robin came through, but it just gave us a great start in that position then.
Okay. I got into the group at the start along the road. It was great because I could save some energy behind in the group, and yeah. But as soon as I hit the hill, then I was probably over the top a little bit, and I started to struggle a little bit. But I came good again after the running section, and it kind of flattened out again. It suited me a little bit more, and I picked up a few more places. So I don't know. I'm probably about 12th or 15th or so across the line. I'm not sure.
Mountain bike on the way, and another one after him.
Well, it's okay. It's about as
number 33.
It's sort of where I'd expect to be, I suppose.
Number 44.
It's good.
The mountain runners are pounding towards the summit of Table Mountain in the Red Bull Capetown man. John Lenihan's lying 7th.
It's my first time doing a relay type event like this. The position I'm in here is that I have to get to the next man with that baton, I have to get there for the changeover. Normally I'm competing in races where there's 6 running and there's 4 to count, so you're allowed 2 people to pull out if they have an accident. We don't have that facility here. This is what I do, mountain running. I've been doing it for the last 20 years, and I think I'll go back with a happy experience from here. Most mountain races look more dangerous than actually when you get stuck into them. I remember when I started mountain, the first race I went to, I almost came home overnight rather than waiting for the race next day. I was so worried about the track. I went out next day and I didn't know what the worry was all about. It was you get stuck into the race and you don't notice it. I'm injured at the moment, and I'm just hoping it'll hold out. That's my biggest worry here at the moment. Being an athlete would probably have competed quite well in the past without taking in water when other athletes have taken water. It'd be very warm, and be competing at temperatures that we won't be probably used to competing in. It should certainly be something to be taken into consideration. I was worried about the heat, I was worried about the hamstring, and my biggest fear was something go wrong and I don't finish. This is a team event and I'm going to really let the team down if I don't finish. And I was quite concerned about that, and I think it took me a while to settle in. I realised we're in 7th place at this stage, and I said, 7th place, we're in a good position if I can hold this and if I can pick off somebody well and good,
Like his injury, Lenihan's position strengthens as the race wears on, but it's New Zealander Jonathan Wyatt who leads Tyrol's Marcus Kroll at the end of the mountain run.
First little steep part, I was catching, and then when it got onto the flat, we were together, and then I was just able to move away on the flat part, and just to make sure I had a good distance. Well, actually, I think it's incredibly tough. Maybe I just had a hard day out there as well, but I had to really dig really deep today. Of course, being such a hot day, I think it could have been over 40 degrees in the gorge there with no wind around, and then just trying to climb up those steep steps was an incredibly tough race.
A radio communique sets each team's paraglider in motion, and first off is Wyatt's teammate Christian Amon, but in a new twist he has to run 4 kilometres first before launching off from the new takeoff area, Signal Hill, due to safety concerns. Marcus Kroll manages to finish the mountain run second, but at a price: utter dehydration and painful cramps kick in. Next up in third, 74 seconds behind Kroll, is long-distance world champion Helmut Schiessel. Their paraglider teammates Wendelin Ortner and Michael Knipping respectively are ready to roll.
it was a really difficult race. Just a fantastic effort by our mountain biker Peter. Sensational just to stay in touch there, and then it took the pressure off me a little bit. I didn't need to go too hard in the beginning, but I tried just to run steady, and then on the flat part, just try and keep a little bit there for that climb, but there wasn't much left there.
Very extreme, but very nice. Passed a lot of guys who are mountain bike, obviously had a bit of a problem. Passed about 10 oaks and managed to pass all the South Africans. So just happy I'm the first South African on top. Would have liked to be first, but you know, the competition's tight today.
You have to concentrate. You can't, your head's tired, your muscles are tired. It's unbelievably tough.
Didn't know what to expect when I came over here, and I think you can definitely train very specifically for an event like this, which I haven't, and it's just kind of the off season for me, but it's a lot of fun. It's a very hard run, and I look forward to doing it again sometime.
Initially I started off, and the first 2K I was in quite a lot of pain with the hamstring. At 4K I was in a lot of trouble. It was as if I had swallowed sand in my mouth. It was just so dry. I had dropped 3 places, I was gone back to 10th, and I was really concerned that I was going to get blown out the back of the field. I think it was lucky enough that I have years of experience, and I managed to not to panic, hold my composure, and I got going again. And over the next 6K I started to make a lot of ground, and I came up to sixth position at that point. And then in the last 4K, the distance really got me, the heat got me. And the last, probably maybe 3K up that hill, I was walking at that stage, and my body was just screaming at me to stop and to sit down. And I think it took fierce mental willpower at that stage. I was even afraid that I would give in, I would sit down. I was so tired. Man, was I happy to see that finish.
Official landing for all your time here in Cape Town. Manmade Field. These are the primo, numero uno, the best super guyless beaches on the planet, okay? With the best babes, okay? If you have to land on a beach, land there.
About 20 minutes to go, they gave us a breakdown of the numbers, and it got to about 10th or 11th, and I couldn't believe it. I heard our number and thought, well, Robin started off well with 9th, John must be keeping it going. Then didn't hear the number, and then I heard it was even further up the line, and I think I got away in about 8th or 9th position. Couldn't believe it.
John McNamee departs in 8th for Ireland with a good prospect of launching for the finish line in a higher position, but he has to do something he wasn't expecting, to run with his full gear on his back in searing Cape Town temperatures.
Yeah, it started like all races, you're all keyed up and you run too hard at the start because it was reasonably flat, and then it started to go downhill and you felt good and you put it on, and heard Robin shouting, slow up, because you didn't want to burn up. And he was right, because as soon as it started to level out and go up, that's when you really needed the energy. And you'd slow down to sort of a fast hobble rather than a run. But it was so hot on the side of the hill that there was no wind, so the plants were holding all the heat, and it was just getting warmer and warmer. With 10 kilos or more on your back, there's every opportunity that you'll slip or fall and the weight will make you tumble. So you can't run it flat out, obviously, with that weight. It's a nice layout, yeah. I mean, there's not much scope for getting it wrong, but if the wind's good, then there shouldn't be any problems.
Christian Amon is set for victory. All that divides his Line Gruber personal team from glory now is 450 metres of gliding paradise. Wendel and Ordner isn't too far behind the combined Austrian-Italian team, still with a shot of glory, as do the Irish.
There was one guy I was sort of pacing, keeping him about 20 seconds ahead of me, because I knew there was no point catching him, I don't have to wait. So I sort of paced myself to make sure I had enough blood in the brain to make sure I got all my lines out, got the launch perfectly, got away. Really important you don't fluff it up there, you're going to lose minutes up there doing that. using for this is my normal competition glider rather than risk going for a lightweight glider, which if the wind's got strong, it can't penetrate into a strong headwind and you'd be nailed against the mountain. So it's a pretty standard glider. The harness, however, is a lightweight mountain harness, which has very little padding or cushioning in it, which keeps the weight light, and also very simple straps and connections. So everything done to keep the weight down.
Landing first guarantees you nothing, Christian. The closer to the line you land, the shorter dash to the line is needed. Now it's a frantic battle for Amon to reach the end, which he does. It's victory to the Line-Gruber personal team. Those lagging behind now in the mountain are in big trouble as the winds have risen high on Signal Hill. Casper Henry just keeps everything together right to the death. Those problems mean nothing to Wendell and Ortner. The Austria-Italia team finished second. Steph Younker's a local, but he's misjudged his flight path, has landed out of bounds and is disqualified.
I know it. I mean, I've flown at this mountain more than 500 times. And so it's completely inexcusable of me. I didn't have a pilot in front of me, so I couldn't see the line we had to follow. So I went for the straight line to here. And when I took off, I should have actually gone just a little bit left, followed, and then come faster.
What you do after takeoff, you make sure everything's okay, have a good look at the canopy, check the lines. Then I put the speed bar on, which deflects the wing and makes it go faster. And then you start looking at your landing point. If it's starting to fall down below you, you're okay, you're going to fly over it. If it's starting to rise up in your horizon view, it means you're going to land short of it. Once I was sure I was going over flat, I pulled in the big ears, full speed bar on, and managed to get between the two poles.
Ireland are the 5th national team home and 9th overall.
To be honest with you, my event was just my event, but it's great once you see John going off doing a run, and then you see the other John up above, and he's running with his rucksack, and it's just like it starts to get exciting then. So yeah, I really liked it. Like, I was really happy I went up now to see the start of his event, and just get to see somebody else do it. It's great.
Oh yeah, that was a superb team effort. Again, you know, I think you know, we've got on great here over the last few days, the lads, the four of us here on the team, and everybody else. And I suppose when you're running in a situation like that, you're conscious that, you know, while I'm doing my piece, the other 3 guys are doing whatever, they're finished or they're waiting for me to come through, and they're thinking of how I'm doing, and I'm trying to do it for them. And the same with those when they're out there as well. The same thing, you're doing it for each other, and you just don't want to let down the other boys on the team.
Superb, absolutely superb. Can't get over how brave Red Bull are to try and organise 2 events that rely on wind and weather, and the 2 other events which are a real stamina test. All part of them, you know, and I think 3 out of 4 is an excellent result.
I'm just gobsmacked with the whole thing. I mean, the whole buzz, this huge publicity with this event, and everybody is just in a kind of party atmosphere. It's fantastic, brilliant altogether.
Gold medals and $10,000 to the Line-Gruber personal team. Second are Austria-Italia, with the Swiss team taking third. That was the Red Bull Capetown Man.